Good evening. Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 9th day of April, 2014, at the hour 6 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the District April 4th, 2014 at 9 a.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041, 551-050, and a copy furnished to the county clerk at Cameron County, Texas. Call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. If all stand with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have item number 3, invitation to audience for discussion. Anyone in the audience want to discuss? Nobody wants to. You want to come forward?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Consider and approve minutes of workshop meeting of March 19, 2014, and regular meeting of March 26, 2014. Have a motion to approve, Mr. Calvan.
Second.
Somebody seconded it. Albert second. Robert seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried. Consider and discuss new agreement with South Powder and Golf Course raw water usage.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I met with golf course representatives, Chris Robertson and Chris Mead, and we have Chris Mead here this afternoon. They wanted to come into agreement with the district since it's a new company now, IBC Bank, and has taken over the SPI golf course, and IBC Bank, and then Touchstone is running the whole golf course. So they wanted to make sure that if the district was willing to go ahead and make a new agreement with them and void the agreement with the previous South Padre Island Golf Course contract. I just wanted to bring it to the table and make sure that if the board decides to go that route, that there's an agreement with the golf course itself, which is IBC Bank and Touchstone, and then the homeowners association are interconnected with their irrigation system also. Then that would be another agreement with them. In this agreement with the homeowners association, they would have to isolate some of the areas and purchase their own meters. And of course, we'll sell them the water at the same rate, but with a different agreement for them. This irrigation system has been in place since 2000, if I remember correctly, 2006, 2007, when they did the second part of the pump station. That's when they interconnected to there's a 9-hole golf course out there that is not being utilized right now, and they had connected through those pipelines to the homeowners. So in finding all that through Touchstone and IBC representatives, that they want to make sure that water gets charged to them at a separate account, separate agreement than what is existing now with Touchstone and IBC Bank. So I just wanted to make sure that you all are aware of that. Just bring it to the table and make sure we start an agreement, and I'll get Mr. Magallanes, which is not in yet, make him aware that we need to look into that and start a new agreement. And there will be 2 separate agreements, one with HOA and the other one with Touchstone IBC Bank.
It's my understanding though that there's several homeowners groups involved, correct? Or is it just going to be the master that takes charge of it?
The way we have, and I'm learning this as much as
Yes, sir.
everyone else is,
There's a master, and then there are 4 other entities. They function as
Chris, excuse me, could you come up here to the mic so we can record all this, because we need to make sure we get the correct, information.
Chris Meade from South Padre Island. The way that it is structured now is there is a master HOA that would be responsible for some large common areas. Then there are 4 individual HOAs that water their HOA common associations. So I think it would ultimately be that you would have a golf course entity. Then you would have 5 additional entities, 1 being the master, and the other 4 remaining be the individual HOAs.
Okay, and are they all aware of what our tap fees are and everything? Our meter fees for putting in meters?
We've not gotten...
We've gotten to a certain point where we discussed some of the fees, but nothing in writing yet that we, but we've discussed it before.
They're aware that there will either be an expense of purchasing the meter on their own or paying the district for installing a meter, yes.
And of course, there's going to be some isolation valves that they will be installing to make sure that the common areas are separated.
Our plan, and Carlos was nice enough to give us what we agree on at this point is the most accurate map. It still might be off a little bit, but for what we're working off, we've got 19 tap points off of the irrigation of the third 9 holes. What we want to do at our expense is install valves on our side, meters on the other side, because we want to start conservation before there's a need for conservation. And conservation when you're out of water really isn't conservation. So we're looking to be able to pre-plan for that. So we need to be able to control the flow of water that they get for irrigation, because if we do get into a limited water time, we still have to be able to maintain tee boxes and greens. Understanding we'll still be cut back, but hopefully not as far back as the HOAs would be. Since it all runs through our pump station, we want the ability to, if need be, cut it off before it flows to those meters.
Sounds like y'all got it in hand then.
Who would be reading y'all's meters the one you install? Y'all?
We haven't discussed that.
There's no meters installed yet.
No, last time, whatever contract was made to favor the other party. I hope this time at least we get 50-50, because, I mean, if you get meters there that they own, and then we read them, that won't be helping us, because we got guys out there and their property and things like that. So that's what I want to know.
We've not discussed that, but the way it's set up now, there's 1 meter prior to entry into our main pump station. So you're metering all the water we get. Our goal is to then meter the water that leaves our property. So if it's easier for us to meter that and bill them directly, I know there's an issue of reselling water that we're trying to avoid entering that. If that's the way that you all decide it should be, we're fine with that. We just want everyone to have an understanding of what's happening. We don't want to take away from the district, and we understand all the water that comes through our pump station is ultimately our responsibility. What we want to know is, are we allowed to in turn bill the HOAs ourselves? And if that's the case, we could leave it as one account and we get the bill and then we bill that way. But we had a discussion about the legality of reselling water, and we don't know. That's just not our specialty. So we're asking, how we got
It's going to be discussed at a later date.
Yeah.
You'll present us with something, our attorney will go over it.
Look it out. I'll let you know.
There's a pickle about them selling water.
Well,
Right.
the thing is that they're probably not selling the water, they're just recouping their money back.
It's more of a transportation fee because we have to pay the electric to pump the water. So we could label it really however we choose to label it to keep everyone on the up and up.
Whatever council feels comfortable doing, that's what we'll go with.
Yeah.
I don't see why we sell them the water and basically they're going to assess the other homeowners their proportion of the water bill. and leave us out of the loop. Once we dump the water through our meter to them, why do we want to get in the loop?
Well, that's what we're discussing, we probably don't, because, it's already in their system, so it might be better off, but again, we need a council here to let us know.
We have no protection there on the possibility of cross connection. We don't know where all these lines go. And, that's one of the things I thought about going to outdoor resorts, but, do we know where all of their irrigation lines go, if we got those plotted out?
Well, we had a couple of crews out there spotting all the lines. We more or less have identified all the lines at the golf course, but those are private lines, they're not ours, you know, so.
Who's paying for that?
They paid for that. I mean,
Okay.
it's theirs. Once we pump the water, or we, read the meter, the water that goes in there, it's theirs, you know, their responsibility to fix the water lines, monitor who's using what, so.
Yeah, so we'd be having two accounts, an account for the HOA and then an account for the golf course itself.
Well, that's entirely up to you. The issue that we have is, like the attorney says, we can't resell water. So we're just looking for clarification on terminology. Because it would really be
Mr.
6
Attorney,
accounts.
Can't they prorate the bill on usage by the individual if they're metered?
Well, you could do a prorate as a proportionate share of the expense.
And we're not looking to mark it up. We don't want to do anything except divide the cost. We're not trying to profit on the water.
Well,
And
you
what
know,
they're trying to
I'm
do
saying
is to
it.
make sure that they, whoever is using certain amount pays for that certain amount.
That's all we're trying to do,
And,
so.
Well, right
really-
now, it's already happening, it's just there's an agreed percentage that each homeowners association.
Correct, and from our understanding, that was kind of never, it just kind of came about. So yes, that's what's going on, and we're deeming it, since the first of the year, as a delivery charge.
We already get how many different checks?
No, we're doing, not anymore, we just get one.
Used to.
Getting one now?
Yeah, so they came in, we're just getting one, so.
I know for a while they were getting 4 or
Oh,
5
yeah.
different checks.
Right. Now you get one.
I think that we should have two separate meters, one for the HOA and one for the golf course, instead of just one. And my rationale for that is to protect the homeowners association, because if there's one meter and the golf course is metering all the water, and as you mentioned, you know, if we get into a situation where there's a water shortage, and then you all decide that we're gonna consume all of the water, or most of the water, to irrigate the golf course and cut off the homeowners association, then it's gonna be a big old issue, you see. So if there's 2 meters, one for the HOA, well, then they have, you know, whatever water it is that they're going to consume, and then the golf course theirs, and then it won't cause any kind of problems or difficulties for the golf course itself, because in a pinch,
Well-
you're gonna say, we have to keep our greens, as you say.
Rudy, there's 5 HOAs.
There's 5
No,
HOAs,
There's
and
not one, there's 5, it'd be 5.
There's
5 different tabs.
And there's,
Well, but he said that there's that you're looking at a master
you know,
HOA.
bills. I mean, if we were going to do bills, but there's actually 19 taps off of our irrigation. So it becomes a matter of,
19 meters.
and it's probably not a place, this is not the quorum for it, but then you're asking us to pump water that we're not allowed to use, pay the electric to pump them to them. So that's the reason we want to be able to install the valves, is we're paying 100% of the electric to pump the water, which has to go through our they don't have, all the water has to come through us. We pump the water to them.
So they're
Yeah, I
piping.
know.
So maybe if you want to keep it on the one, with the 1 meter for the South Padre Island development, or IBC now, they're gonna have, the HOAs are gonna have to sign off on this new agreement, if you wanna keep it on one. I would see a need for them to be signing off on the agreement.
We'd have to have
Also.
19 separate meters, is that what we're talking about?
20, because you've got one that's installed now.
We've got to make one master meter.
Correct. We have the master meter in place, and then we would
Well,
have,
that's been in place for a long time.
right, and then we would have 19 outlets.
19
and then
other,
You would have the 19 ounce, the difference the golf course would pay, and then the 19 ounce could either be billed to the associations, or if the district approves, we would continue to pay the bill for simplicity and bill the associations if that is legal.
I would just like to see our staff and IBC and Touchstone hammer this out and bring us something and.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that, you know, when there's a shortage, that the golf course itself is gonna be in control of the water and where it goes, and they're gonna tell the homeowners, you know what, we're gonna use all of the water or 90% of it for our irrigation purposes, and you guys are just gonna get a trickle or whatever the case, and then it'll be a big old.
Well,
Unless they put something in the agreement where everybody gets prorated down a certain percent.
That's what we would like to do, is we have, as a company, we have conservation practices in place. What we want to do is to be able to enforce those same practices upon the HOA. Meaning if we cut down to where we only water 3 days a week, we don't want them watering lawns 7 days a week, when greens are much more important than lawns. We would I mean, it would be suicide to cut their water off.
That's
So
what you call them for valves, huh?
that's why we want to, it's easier to be able to stop them than to ask them to stop.
You would
Well,
be, but
the only problem I
it's
have with this, guys, Mr. Attorney, is you're getting us in the middle of their problem. We got enough problems of our own. My attitude is, sell them the water at a bulk rate, let them figure out how to divide it up.
And we're fine with that.
Well, that certainly would be the practical thing to do, so that we don't get involved between the relationship between.
I mean, we don't
the
do
golf course
practical
and the
things,
HOA
is that what
and
you're
all
telling me, sir?
But as long
We don't do practical things.
Well,
It would be
we need to do
the
that in
as long as we meet our chapters, whatever, we gotta meet our code, we gotta meet the water code laws and.
As long as they're in compliance, if we're able to do that, and if they call it recovery or recoupment of their cost, and that's what they're doing, they're not selling the water, it's recovering their cost that they are passing on to the HOAs.
They can prorate their water bill back to each individual meter they want to install. Appears like there's gonna be 19 of them there, and then they can determine who they cut off, who they turn on. If they get low on water, I don't wanna get in that, Rudy.
But I still would like.
Arguing about who of the 19 people are gonna get the extra water that these people are using or not using and this and that.
Mr. Chairman, if we do it that route, I still want to see the 5 HOAs sign off on it somewhere, have them included somehow, that they know what's going on, and that way, we're covered, our butts are covered.
I think we're prepared to present that, and then, 'cause realistically, they have no other option besides going potable, which I don't think you want them to do for irrigation, so.
No, we don't.
Yes, I mean, if that's okay, we'll work with Carlos and hopefully have something to present to you all. We just wanted to make sure that we were within our legal bounds before we pursued it.
Yeah, we'll take care of that, certainly with our council here, and then we'll present to the board what we come up with.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was item 5. No action need to be taken at this item 5. Number 6, consider and approve an official resolution to commit Laguna Madre Water District to the financial and legal obligation associated with receipt of federal financial assistance for the Port Isabel water reclamation facility. Mr. Ortiz, would you care to elaborate on this?
Glad you're aware.
Would you get up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, Charles.
That way we can actually hear it.
I don't have any problem here.
You guys do yours.
You're young.
I'll try to word really well.
Let's see, so as you're aware from the tail end of last meeting, that Reclamation announced an ability or a funding opportunity for a feasibility study of water reuse and reclamation, which is right in line with the work we're planning to or hoping to do at the Port Isabel plant. And so their deadline to submit a grant application is on May 6th, and one of the requirements is for us to have an official resolution approved by the board stating that we'll commit to the local matching contribution in the event that they offer this grant. And so this was reviewed by our attorney, and we added one additional line item on the final draft prepared for signature, which is basically stating that this is an opportunity announced by Reclamation.
Is that in here?
Yeah, it should be in the part, there should be, you'll see an additional whereas item on the signature block that wasn't included in the board packet, and that's the attorney's comments that we've added into the agreement. And so we're recommending approval, with a resolution, so we can include it in our submittal for this grant application.
So you're saying that this resolution is a requirement of it's part of the application packet? That
Correct.
a resolution be attached to?
Yes, basically the options are either to, if you submit the application by the deadline, you have 30 days to submit this resolution, but sending it with the application, we're just being proactive and, staying on top of it. So, any other discussions, or I can recommend for,
Well, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
right, thank you.
I'll abstain at this time. That it wouldn't matter. Okay, I've got that one. All right. Where were we? That was number 6. Consider and approve investment report for the quarter ending March 31, 2014. Mr. Gomez.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I submitted a investment report. It starts off with the bank accounts. The beginning balance, which was the ending balance for December 31st, 2013, was $18,805,536.35. We had net disbursements of $2,250,378.75, with interest earned for this quarter ending March of $6,356.54, leaving a ending balance in our bank account of $16,561,514.14. Our investments in Texpool total to $61,098.73 beginning balance, with interest earned of $4.73 for the quarter. Our ending balance of March 31st is $61,103.46, and our CDs total beginning balance at January 1st was $5,277,690.66. We have one CD that matured for $705,726.63. That CD earned $177.45 for the quarter. That matured in February, and that was deposited. You can see it up in the revenue bond reserve bank account. On the net account activity, deposit disbursements, you'll see a deposit there of $705,726.63. The ended balance for the CDs was $4,572,141.48. The total cash for the district beginning on January 31st was $24,144,325.74. We dispersed $2,956,105.38. Interest earned for the quarter combined was $6,538.72. And the ending balance for all our cash on hand for the water district is $21,194,759.08. And then what follows is the pie chart of how the funds are distributed on the CDs and the cash balances. Any questions on the report?
You've heard the report. Is there a question? Is there a question? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Mr. Kiplinger.
Second.
Mr. Vela seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, down to line 8. Consider and approve disbursements. Are there any questions on the disbursements?
Move to approve.
I do. Okay, we've got a motion approved. We have a second.
Second.
Under the question, on page 8 of your disbursement sheet, we paid for 2-inch ball valves, we paid $226.50 each from ACT Pipe and Supply. Well, on page 14, we paid $65 each for 2-inch ball valves. Somebody want to tell me what a $226 ball valve is?
Hardly a brass, ball valve?
$226. Carlos, come on.
Has to be, let me see.
How big is it?
Yeah, 'cause I know
2
it's...
inch, yeah. How big is 2
No.
inches?
Somebody's got brass balls.
I think, it's 'cause, they use brass, in the island, you know. where-
Carlos, I know they do, but I can buy brass ball valves, high-quality brass ball valves. They've already bought some for $65 from the same place. I just want to know the discrepancy between page 14,
Same material?
I don't know.
go to page 14.
Well, this says
Dun,
brass.
dun,
This says
dun.
brass.
Sorry, guys, I hate to do this to you. I know you all want to go somewhere.
It's okay.
Let's see.
The one page said brass,
The other one?
the other page says brass also.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Both pages say brass.
Okay, hold on.
Brass, metal.
Brass material, both of them, that's what they're listed under.
yeah, just something that jumped up and kind of bit me in the shorts a little bit. I don't know if it's a typo or,
This one,
just,
325.
You got five brass balls on that one page at 3 1/4.
yeah, and that's $65 a piece, and if you back up, they were $2,265
326.
For how
for
many?
10 of them.
Okay. If you can see the 5 brass ball valves are 325 apiece. See that?
Uh-huh, $226.50,
Right. And the other one, at
65 each. Anyway, I just like, we don't have to go into it now, but I'd like an
That one-
explanation at the next meeting.
the other one is 226.50.
325
They
for
bought
2,
10.
for
Right.
5 2-inch brass ball valves. $325.
It doesn't say on the cheaper ones, it doesn't say brass, it's just ball valve.
But it's listed under brass material in the
It
line.
says
They're both
5
listed under
2-inch
material.
brass ball valves for $325, and if you divide that out, that's $65 a piece.
Maybe it was a
I don't see where it
error.
says brass in there, on that one.
You on page 14?
Are we talking about,
Go to page
2000?
14
16?
and come down to the bottom of the, not the bottom of the page, 3 up to ACT Pipe and Supply. Go to the bottom of their expense materials, 5 2-inch brass ball valves, $325, that's $65 a piece. If we go back to page 8,
Okay, page 8, this one.
we've got 10 of them for $2,265,
Right,
unless
but
I've
it
just
doesn't say
didn't have
brass
my
on that.
eyeballs
That one
on.
doesn't say brass.
Well, they're either gonna be, what are they? That's
Are
what
they
I'm
gold
trying to
at that
tell.
price?
Have to be PVC on that one.
There ain't no way you're gonna buy a $226 PVC ball valve.
Maybe it was a mathematical
Well,
error,
let-
or somebody.
Maybe, look into that one and I'll give you, I don't have any
That's a
information
good
right now,
one.
but I'll look it,
Good.
but I know that we do.
I told you I'd never throw you a curve. I guess I threw you a curve tonight. Anyway,
No.
sorry about that.
No, because I know that these guys, when they purchase material, they get 3 quotes, so I'll find out, and I can give you a call tomorrow. I don't have
Okay.
any backup right here, so.
No sweat. I'd try to just, next meeting or call, just check it out, and okay.
Sure will.
There's something else I've got. We paid $2,875 for our ground maintenance contract. Is that a monthly contract?
No, it's an annual contract that we agreed on, and,
How do
we pay
we-
them on the monthly basis, we do.
But it
pay
is a
'em.
monthly, paid by monthly.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So we're spending $3,400 a year to cut the grass. Multiply that one times 12.
Mm, no,
Take 2875, guys, multiply by 12.
28, 75.
That's the way, my understanding, that's the way it was bid out the
But
last
not,
time.
not
Okay,
3,200, it's
I just-
32,000.
Yeah, 32,000.
Yeah.
But it's not just here, it's throughout the district where they go out and maintain the.
At water tank areas and lift station areas.
Okay, well,
They do everything.
it's just something that
Go all the
we're
way to
spending,
Riverside?
that's all I'm saying, we're
Maybe
spending
the
over
river,
$30,000 a year to mow the
Oh,
grass.
yeah.
I just wanna know what
I
they're
That's what
mowing.
it
had
is.
questioned that myself, but I was told that it's
Yeah.
not just here, it's all the water plants and the.
River
different
pump
lift
station.
stations
River pump
and
station, what?
everywhere.
Lift stations, water treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
We used to have a crew, like about 3 guys, to do that.
probably cost us $100,000.
Yeah, it did, that's
Yeah, it
right.
costs us a lot more money.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
97,000.
Yeah.
That's why we went that route, to cut the cost.
Does anyone have any other questions on the disbursements? If not, we have a second, a motion and a second. Could I do a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, number 9, GM report. Tell us something good about the salinity,
Well,
please.
not good yet, because, we don't have the full report. I just wanted to bring it up that we're, getting samples from Laguna Vista area. If you remember that we, completed some of the cure-in-place lines, and, we haven't completed that project, but, according to Charles, is that, we probably don't need those, rest of the lines completed. But if I'm not mistaken, I think we do. But once we complete that salinity test, we'll figure out if we do need to go that route and complete the rest or not. But it's still in the air. And I'm very positive that once they complete all the lines in Laguna Vista that were recommended, from staff, that the salinity will go down. The only issue that we did look into at Bethpage is a brand new line up in the golf course. They did find a lot of RO systems with water softeners,
Oh, boy.
and they have salt in the system to take care of the water softness and hardness in it. So that might be one of the issues, that we're getting high salinity on that part of Bethpage. They have.
Can we check it, Carlos, could we test that on the last manhole in Laguna Vista, heading that way, or the last lift station, or whatever, as it heads wherever it is toward the plant, and find out if it's the old city because of the line problems, or whether it's that everybody has got to have a water softener and they're dumping a ton of salt into the darn thing. I never thought about that.
And I told the guys to go knock on the doors and ask. That's the only thing we can do. I mean, yeah, because we videotape the line and it looks all good and in place. You don't see water coming in from anywhere, just the main line. So it's kind of.
People are even getting these saltwater pools now, where instead of putting chlorine in them, they put salt in them, and when they back flush, guess where they put it? They put it in the clean out.
I don't know. I haven't seen that yet.
But if they pump it out on the grass, guess what happens? It dies. So where do you think they're putting it? They're putting it down the sanitary sewer.
I don't know. if
Where have you
anybody
seen
has
any of these
saltwater
salt,
pool out there.
pools at?
Huh?
We can keep an eye, we need to keep an eye. Where have you seen the salt pools?
I've only seen 2, but not here.
Oh.
I've seen them in other places, and, they tell me they love them, but they go down and get a huge, great big sack of salt, and they just pour it in the swimming pool.
The last time I saw a saltwater swimming pool, and I swam in one, was at the Blue Marlin Motel.
That's what Robert was just saying. That's what Robert was just
Across the
saying.
street. And they used to charge us 25 cents to
When
swim
you
in
were a
one.
little kid, I remember that one, yeah, the old motel over there.
I have one.
You have one?
Maybe they had an aquarium.
You do have one, right?
Maybe he's talking about an
But
accordion.
not, I'm not.
You're part of the problem then, buddy.
No,
You're
no.
not part of the solution
No,
on this
you're
one.
dumping it.
But I'm not in this system.
You got saltwater fish swimming in there too?
No, you can't taste the
Charlie
salt
could
in
put 'em in
it.
there.
You can't, you can taste it, you can't taste the salt, but man, they just, how often do you have to put that big old bag of salt in there? I mean, it's just,
It's just not that,
Yeah, filtration.
it's less maintenance than the other one, the chlorine.
yes,
I
sir.
need to ask a question.
Question,
I need to ask a question. Can I get the...
question through the chair?
I'll only charge you
General
20
Manager,
cents.
how are we doing with that SCADA system in our lift stations? I know the system here don't work because I called and tried to get the lab or the water plant, somebody else.
Charles, can you give us an answer for that one?
How about the SCADA system in the lift stations? I saw
Well,
them
the-
working
the,
there.
Is that gonna come up under the engineer's report?
No.
No, it's not on the
It's
agenda.
asking the general manager.
Basically, the auto dialers were on AT&T lines, and when the landlines were disconnected, well, of course, the auto dialers
Well,
were
we've been saying that for a long time, Charles.
And it-
Basically, when's it gonna be done?
That's a good question, because right now, our person, what's it, Into Technologies, Larry?
Are we paying Orbit or AT&T? Who are we paying?
Well, right now, we're not paying anybody. Orbit.
Nobody?
At this point, we've set up my understanding is NT2 Technology has set up the port at every auto dialer, only the station 22, correct? I guess we had this discussion on our manager's meeting this morning.
Being on the lift station, by the time they start, it's gonna be corroded.
Right. I mean, right now, I know auto dialers, today can get a cellular device attached to them, but they need a method to communicate, which we don't have right now.
Somebody needs to get on them and see what's going on. Wait till we get overflows over on the island, when we get all these people coming in now, everything overflowing like it used to, nobody to call in, unless there's some big guy over there calling in, instead of the SCADA system. You don't want the police, they used to call in, that's why we got the SCADA over there, because the auto dialers, because the police were calling us. And then they had the chief inspector and everybody there, everybody taking pictures. Oh, man.
Right. I mean, a lot of our auto dialers are in need of repair in the first place. That's why we're looking at lift station 22, because we know that auto dialer works. So that's going to be our first one to test it through an internet phone connection, which the phone port is in place, Orbit needs to show and get the wireless internet set up at the site.
I should go out there and put an auto dialer in 15 minutes, my friend. 15 minutes. And I'm not...
Anything else out of the general manager's report?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
Point-
that's just-
point taken.
I just wanted to ask, because it's coming up when summertime comes.
No action on general manager's report. Can we go to the,
Phones are working.
excuse me, district engineer's report?
Alright, let me get used to scanning through here. Right, so the first item is that water supply needs and alternatives. And, I don't know if you had a chance to review the memo that was included as an attachment to the engineer's report, but that's basically what this item's really about. And it's really just looking at, our projected demands through 2040, which is what we did with the hydraulic modeling, and then comparing that to our current supplies and looking at, drought conditions and non-drought conditions. And of course, we're still currently on a full proration, limited to 5,550 acre feet. And so, that's essentially what we should be planning for, because we're in that condition today. And, to make a long story short, we're really, basically the projection that we have is looking at, I'm trying to flip over to it.
Your projection, really it shows in 2015, we're gonna have problems. If
Well,
we don't-
I mean, as it is for this year, based on what we've done in the first 2 months, and if we do exactly the same for the remainder months, we're gonna be at 59.21 by the end of the year. So,
See, that's what I don't understand, if we're gonna be at, if you're projecting us at 59, say, for the year, that's from January on?
that's January to December,
Okay, calendar year. Okay.
calendar year.
See, that doesn't jive with what we're treating, what we're billing, what we're collecting. That doesn't jive. If we're gonna be using all that much more water, we should be making more money.
Yeah,
And so something doesn't seem,
I mean,
something seems out of whack.
Ideally, my estimates are high, so I mean, you know, we did a huge cut last year. We did a pretty good job, you know, controlling our water diversions. And so I mean, if we can be able to control our losses, minimize the lines that we're flushing, you know, we can try to stay on top of that. Like, we were real cognizant of that last year. If we can maintain that same plan this year.
When the microfiltration plant goes online, is that gonna help losses or not?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, we're going to be much more efficient. I mean, it's still going to have a backwash cycle, but we're not going to have all the leaks that are in that existing dual media filters where it's always
Yeah, it'll help.
It's gonna help.
So it'll improve.
All right.
And so, I mean, really you know, of course, 2013 was the first time they implemented that full proration of 55/50 since the law was implemented back in 1967. And, you know, I mean, just, of course, we always go up and down every year, but we're projecting, you know, our demand by 2015. I mean, I guess if we really look at the drought condition, that's probably closer to being correct. You know, about 5,800 by 2015, 6,137 by 2025, and 7,156 by 2040. And kind of looking at the potential that the reclaimed water would give us, you know, we're expecting to get about 80% recovery through an advanced wastewater process, and our current flows right now are about 700,000 gallons per day. So, you know, basically by the time we're implemented, we'd be on the range of 650 acre-feet getting added to supplement our diversion off the river. So, you know, that will basically cover us probably a little beyond 2025. And so, you know, that could be our next step. And of course, our alternative is seawater desalination. So, you know, to consider one option versus the other, you know, kind of has to look at cost in terms of how one compares to the other. And so there's a chart in here where, you know, our current seawater project, based on the pilot study implementing it, we're looking at, you know, a cost on the range of $4.50 per 1,000 gallon. And so the other data we have available is the reuse in place in El Paso and the studies they've completed for FAR and San Juan. And so for those reclaimed water projects, they're looking, you know, anywhere between $2.50 and $3 per 1,000 gallon. So that's, you know, a pretty good range, and as we develop our planning study, we'll probably be in a similar range once we find out
And our
the
seawater
details.
projection is based on a 1 million gallon a day plan?
Correct.
That's what kills you.
Yeah.
That's what kills it.
Yeah, and also, well, yeah, I mean, that's basically, you know, our two options that are on the table right now. And one other issue is if we do proceed with water reuse for our next phase of, you know, 600 acre-feet until our demand uses that amount up, I mean, there is no, like for Proposition 2, I checked with our bond counsel. I got a call or spoke to Noel Valdez, and he was saying in terms of, we had the election in 2011, in the past he has seen some propositions go stale, but that has been about a 20-25 year time period. And so if we proceed with Proposition 2 in the next 3 to 4 years, there'd be no issue. But say if it does happen like 10 years after the election, basically it would be a phone call to the AG and explain our reason for delay, and then the election would still remain valid to proceed with that project at some point down the road. So, you know, I mean, that's just one condition that we can consider in terms of how we're going to proceed with each you know, water supply expansion.
So, the next time you speak with the bond council on that, Charles, can you ask them, because the proposition that passed was for seawater desal. Is there any wording in there that says that maybe we can do desal with inland? Brackish water?
Well, the key word in that causes is the word seawater.
Seawater.
And that's what causes a court trying to either go to brackish water or even reclaimed water, even though we're doing desalination on our wastewater process.
So we're shafted on that one.
Right.
As far as brackish.
Mhm.
But as far as the Proposition 1 money, we have total leeway on how to spend it.
Right, it would be in line with the water reuse line item that was approved, where water distribution, wastewater collection, and water reuse was all approved in a single line item. So that's kind of what we have to work with through Proposition 1.
Well, ask him anyway, see if
Mhm.
he can see anything on there that.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe amended or.
I've seen a similar situation like that done where, where I used to work, and it required a change in legislative language, it had to get modified.
Yeah, I just want to bring up something also. Are you in contact with you guys in contact with the water master on a regular basis?
Oh, well, they send us the monthly
No.
reports, and I mean, it's...
if we see we're gonna be getting close to going over, maybe a phone call to them, and they might be able to just, amend that allotment up a little bit if we're gonna be within 200 or 300, 400 acre feet. They might be able to help us out.
Yeah, I mean, I have asked them as far as, being that it's 146 acre feet for each percentage drop, and of course, that our max proration will actually occur when we're at 37%, and the reservoirs are currently at 44%. And so I asked him, well, how come we don't get that increase for each percentage rise? And he says, no, once you're prorated, it stays fixed until the reservoirs return to a 50% volume.
Yeah.
So it's just going to basically reset at some point
Then
when
we
we get a
also
major
have
storm.
the Texas, U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Exactly, that's our
qualified
buffer.
too. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we just got to make sure that we're taking the orders on the other account and staying ahead of it.
Okay.
That's basically where we're at there. Any other questions on supply needs or alternatives? All right, guess moving on to Water Plant 2, microfiltration improvements. We got the air compressor up and running on Monday.
When startup?
When startup, we're shooting for probably to start disinfection by the end of the week. I guess the key two items for us to finish is both air compressors need to be finished, and we're waiting on a part to get the second air compressor working. And there's a clean-in-place pump where the motor needs to be delivered, which should happen today. I need to verify that. And once those two things are done, we basically start disinfection for 2-3 days, and then at that point we're feeding the clear well. And so we're online, in about a week or so. That's pretty much where we're at with it. And of course the paving's happening as we speak. Working with the building contractor, they're addressing their punch list items. They finished their portion of the parking lot, and they've cleaned the office area. And as far as for them to do the final paint on the floor, we'll do it after commissioning, because basically that process area needs to be cleared so the paint can dry and they can get a chance to finish up the work. So that's really what's pending with the building. And with electrical, it's getting the automatic transfer switches installed, the new generator installed, and all the equipment's on site. And so we're planning to do a major shutdown right after Easter, April 22nd, and that's to get the new generator installed. And then we'll have all the the backup power in place. So that's we also did a SCADA upgrade through the Quathis pump station contract, and that's basically ready to go live. At the same time we
Bill was only $1,100 last month
Oh, for a Quathis pump station? See?
instead of 7.
Yeah, that is efficient. So, yeah. But anyways, I think we're doing a good job. We're making a lot of progress. Really the only thing at Water Plant 2 that isn't new is the backwash waste discharge pump. So we did a pretty good job. That's going to get us 30 years or so.
How's the wastewater stuff coming along? Item C.
Item C. Let's see.
Excuse me. Does anybody have any questions on item B of the engineer's report? Okay.
All right. So, item C was the discharge permit requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And I went ahead and took a look at our testing we did on zinc back in 2006 and 2007. And the one key area that needs further scrutiny is lift station 24, which is Adams and Garcia Street. And so there's a possible source there where somebody's been dumping paint in the system, or we need to try to find out what's going on.
Lift station 24 is where?
It's on Adams and Garcia Street. Basically all that area going towards the Long Island on Garcia. Right there. We're going to take a closer look.
It connects the wastewater line from the drawbridge on the east side of the drawbridge. All that area back there. So
I'll give you a name. There's some body shop guys
Yeah,
on that
there
street?
is, there's about 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, because the body shop would cause the copper and zinc.
And then as
So-
you can see that, the drawbridge personnel are always painting in there, you know, the drawbridge. So
So yeah,
we figured that out today, you know.
yeah. So at this point, I
How
got-
would that get into the sanitary sewer supply?
they drain
Just
to
like
it.
rainwater gets in there,
Yeah.
same way.
They open up
They open up manholes.
Wish
and-
Victor was there. Have we sealed that manhole, or, oh God, I wouldn't think they'd open it. Anyway.
Well, at
maybe
this
they
point,
do.
we're already into a regulatory situation where we have to submit quarterly reports. So, of course, April 1st was the next due date. And so my findings are going to be basically the previous studies that we did back in '06 and '07. We still have an extremely stringent discharge limit. Like, for example, at water plant, for our testing, the maximum contaminant level is 5 milligrams per liter, but the limit they've imposed on the Port Isabel sewer plant is 0.08 milligrams per liter. So I got to still work with the water quality people and see if they just have unreasonable discharge limits imposed on this plant. So that's part of what we need to still work with TCEQ to get straightened out. But that's basically where we're
If
at.
you do find problems there on Garcia Street with some of the businesses, Mr. Magallanes would be glad to write them letters saying that there's gonna be some penalties.
Yeah, because all signs in advance, everything we heard is source control, which would be finding somebody who's exceeding their wastewater strength. So
Okay.
that's where the discharge permit's sitting right now.
That concludes your report, Farrell.
Yes, it does.
Anybody with any more questions? Gee, could we go to item 11, Finance Director's Report?
Mr. Chairman, these are just informational issues concerning, we had a TML webinar early last week, and it was on outdoor safety issues. Mostly it was a reminder to a lot of the staff that works outdoors as to the hazards that they can encounter while they're working outdoors. There was 12 people that attended, and then there was a 2-day workshop on HR Essentials Management that HR clerk and the supervisor attended. And then the Public Funds Investment Training, this was something that was registered for Ms. Mendez, Belinda Mendez, to attend, and it was paid for since she left already. We hired Ms. Belen Peña, and she will be attending that HR later this month, so that we can have 2 investment officers on board, myself and Ms. Peña. And then the other is the Tyler Technology Info Conference that's coming up next week. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Ms. Peña and myself will be attending that. And then the last item here is a request to the board to consider letting the county do the elections for the upcoming elections coming in October. At the last election, we spent over $40,000. I have asked the county to give me an estimate as to what the cost would be. Right now, they're unable to because they are working on the runoffs that are coming up. And but soon after that, hopefully within the next couple of months, I'll be able to get something and report back to the board as to how much it will cost for the county to do that.
We could actually take action on item B at this time if the board cares to do that.
That's a recommendation. It's
Not for action.
It's not an action item.
Maybe
It's a
next time.
report, it's under his report.
Yeah, next time that he has that information.
Once I get the information as to the cost, I'll
Okay.
bring it back to the board for considerate approval. But this point was just the informational portion.
Any other business, gentlemen? Is there any other business? I will declare this meeting adjourned. I would like